Okay. Hi, it's Anyssa from the ladies meeting. Good morning. It's Sunday morning, and I'm here on our podcast with Asheida Arruda, and she's been one of our members at the ladies meeting for about 6 to 8 months. And we meet at the Sylvia Hotel in downtown Vancouver on English Bay on the last Tuesday of every month, except December, because that would be crazy. Yes, we do that at every meeting, just to remind people not to show up on the last Tuesday. And in December, we actually do a party and a clothing swap. We had a soiree and swap, which was really fun. We had music. We had Asheida singing with Maggie's band, counting chickens, not counting crows. And we had a great time, and we donated over $200 to Dress for Success, and then we all came home with some new clothes, and Dress for Success got a bag of new clothes, and my sister's closet got several bags of shoes and new clothes as well. So that was an exciting event for all of us to finish off the year. We are a private women's club. We meet, and generally there's 20 to 40 of us meeting. We have local members. We have people that come in from out from the Fraser Valley. I also have a private mastermind group if anyone would like to come in on Tuesday mornings and work on their business intensively. So if you want to find us and more about us and our past meetings and photos and social media, you can find us at theladiesmeeting.com. And if you're interested in membership, just drop me a line. You can find me at Anyssa Jane or Anyssa C is my hashtag, and that's not too hard. So welcome, Asheida.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Anyssa. It's great to be here.
How's the weather in Vancouver?
Oh, it's pretty cloudy today, but there's a little break from the rain. We've had some heavy rains over the last couple of days, so this is a nice break.
Awesome. Yeah. As you can see behind me, I'm living in a snowbank up here in Whistler, BC, and everyone's pretty happy because it's been snowing for days. And
wow,
a couple days ago, there was actually over 2 feet of snow on my car.
Incredible. I mean, I know it's the time of year for it, but wow.
My roommate just went out snowboarding. I'm like, do you not think you should maybe take a day off? You've been coughing. She's like, nope, the mountains are calling. it's a real thing. It literally seemed to speak to her, so it's good.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone up here is very passionate about being outdoors. And
they'd have to be. It's a beautiful place for that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Asheida is a vocal coach, voice coach, and in Vancouver. As you can see, I've been to her beautiful studio, and she teaches voice and also goes a lot deeper as well, which we'll talk a little bit more about today. Asheida, can you tell us a little bit more about your business?
Yeah, sure. Well, my business entails me as a voice coach. I work with people and their voices, and that has there's several different applications to that. I work with total beginners, people that have never sung before that want to know if they have a singing voice. I work with professional singers, actors, and people that do public speaking. The mythology and teachings that I've learned over the last about 7 years in voice specifically have helped me learn how to use, how to work with people and use the tools I've been trained in and help them use their voice more effectively, and just be able to also help them engage authentically and in a way that speaks true for them and helps people understand them clearer and better.
And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to engage with you originally when I first met you, is as I've now done a few podcasts, and I still find that I lose my voice quite often. But more importantly, some of the deeper conversations we've had are about connecting with self and tuning into self. And that comes out in your voice. And something that you mentioned actually this morning was you were talking, because, often we don't always talk about chakras and things like that, but it had been mentioned to me, for example, that my throat chakra was blocked. And I could say that really, when someone explained that to me, I was like, that really is how I feel. And I've always felt like it was very hard for me, even though I've taken years to know what my personal mission statement is, to know what my purpose is, to know what my passions are. Even though I've focused on them, I felt like there was some sort of block. And I know that we've talked about how when you're working with a coach, you're not just working with the sound that comes out, but tuning into self and hopefully also unblocking some of those things.
Yeah, well, exactly. And very, very often, and whether people might realize it or not, when we're trying to convey something and create some type of change or connect with someone verbally, um, we are more than just the physical voice, like you were saying. And anything that might have happened throughout our life, it does affect the voice, and it can affect our confidence, and those two aspects are very closely intertwined. And so often people that might feel, and we've all had this to some degree and at some different points in our life, when we feel if we get constant voice issues that come up, or we find it difficult to be understood or to share something, it's often due to some past emotional imprint. So, and that's just from living. We have ups and downs, and then there's these opportunities for us to engage with that. Like, oh, this has happened again, and it feels like a time when I experienced such and such. And being able to move through those. And there's ways to do that. There's also ways to just actually physically work with the voice. And I find that when we take both the internal and external workings of the being of the person, then we can really make change and move forward with the person's intentions.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think also, just like the 8 questions that I'm going to ask, I ask the same questions every time. One of the most amazing experiences that I had, because I do another podcast called Epic Lifestyles. You can find it on epiclifestyles.ca. But taking time to tune into the person that I'm with. So we've spent quite a bit of time talking before we have done this podcast. And I interviewed a gentleman. He's a backcountry skier. He does some of the most terrifying things I can imagine.
Wow.
Paul, he's climbed mountains. He does all those backcountry skiing that you just like, whoa, scary. So someone I don't relate to personally on a physical level, but we took time to have breakfast, to have a really good talk, and tune into what I really noticed, because he has to tune in for his own life safety to survive with the people that he's with. You've built a team that your lives depend on each other.
Right.
Don't think about that in daily life. And so I found when we had that, we had breakfast for like over an hour before we recorded the podcast. And I tuned into the person that was with me, and it was vocally. It really was vocally as well. It was that resonation with each other. And I think often when you find people repelling from each other, it's because they haven't taken the time to even vocally come to the same plane so that they can take the time to truly communicate.
Right.
And so in repeating my questions or going and doing repeating exercises with a vocal coach, you get better and better at listening to who you are and what you're saying or what you're singing or what you're vocalizing. And you start to tune that and become better at it, and it becomes a skill.
Yeah, definitely. And there's mastery with that. I think over our lifetimes, and being able to know ourselves within and out, that's where the mastery is. And you're right, when we attune to ourselves, whether it's through some vocal exercises, but also tapping into our inner selves. One of the ways I do that is I meditate. But I also will engage the voice with certain sounds, and that really does help tune the body, tune your emotions and your whole being, so that you are receptive and open, and also giving off a sense or energy of yourself that is receptive and allowing for others to feel safe. Just the communication ends up flowing easier. Whereas if we come in, frazzled and ungrounded, and usually when people are stressed and their neurological system is up in arms, we breathe shallow, our larynx hikes up, our voice goes more hard sounding like this, and it's harder for people to receive information and to even want to engage. It's a real thing, and it's really fascinating when we meet people and we get to experience either side of it,
Well, the more authentically we can project ourselves, then hopefully people, because people reflect what they see, even if it's unintentionally. Just like we've seen those funny tests where people walk by yawning at someone as a test and they get the next person to yawn, and that's unconscious. That's without even truly connecting with somebody. So, you know, when we're sitting right in front of someone with an intention to connect, how much are we reflecting that energy, and how true we can authentically be to ourselves, gonna affect that conversation and that interaction.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's jump into our questions.
Sure.
They're always the same or within. I always tell, like I said to Asheida, if there's anything that you want to switch up, we can take this wherever you want. It's never the same. The questions might be the same, but the answers and the people are never the same. So I find it quite fascinating.
That's excellent. Yeah.
What are the 3 most important things we should know about Asheida?
Right. Well, the first thing that I found that came up for me is I find myself to be pretty supportive and empathic. Supportive meaning I really do like to have people feel comfortable around me. That's been a very natural and big part of my personality just since I was a kid. And empathic means I can perceive and feel other people's feelings. And that has been a gift. It's also been a challenge growing up. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. You know, you could be driving in your car and you just feel really antsy and agitated. And then you realize there's someone on your bumper, like really trying to, you know, maybe they're late for something or whatnot. Or, you know, I remember just crossing the crosswalk several months ago. And I was in just a neutral, fine, comfortable state of mind. And then I just suddenly felt very, very sad. And I was standing next to someone, they didn't look happy. They looked quite upset. And then whether it was them or not, I can never be certain, but I had that intuition that was like, oh, wow, I think I'm really feeling, you know, some other emotion.
I have a certain headache that I get that I know someone in my family is having a bad day.
Right.
I'll instantly even if it's just a text, like, hey, how you doing? Just thinking about you. And it's and as soon as I do that,
it clears it. Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
I mean, I haven't figured out who I'm tuning into, but I know it's within a certain group. I call people, there's family or my soul circle.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I mean, we all essentially are made of the same stuff, and therefore we are all connected in some way or another. And I think it's just, I think it's some people, we all have those, you know, capabilities and gifts. And then some of us are a little bit more sensitive to certain things.
I think it comes down to vibration. We're all learning this. It comes down to vibration. And number 3, what is the third thing we should know about you?
Right. Okay. So, well, I have a tendency to fall into flow when it comes to creativity. So the state of flow, you know, when it comes to music, it's one of my favorite places to be is creating. It usually happens on the piano because I started off as a piano player. And that's usually how I write my music. And I love that and enjoy it. And as soon as I was thinking about that flow state when I play music and write music specifically, I thought of water. And so my third thing is water seems to be my security blanket. I can't go anywhere without it. So I always have my water bottle with me. I'm always hydrating. Anyone that knows me knows that I can't really go anywhere unless I know I have my water with me or I'm going to be getting water. So it works out well that I live in a coastal area.
Well, it's something we all need, right? I work at a gym during the day as the sales and marketing supervisor. So we all are constantly walking around with water bottles. So I get that. And the first thing people ask when they come in is there a water fountain? Can I have some? So
yes, of course there is.
I always say I'm a water person. Give it to me frozen, flowing, whatever. I live on Alta Lake right now, and I've walked it. I've skied it. I've snowshoed on it. I have paddled on it. I have swam in it. There's just a few things left. I've skated on it.
Wow, that's incredible. Just take it all in. Yeah.
Yeah. I just need water. However it comes, water.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so good for our voice too.
What is work and what is play for you?
Well, work is me building my business as a voice coach, connecting with a variety of different people, but it's also connecting with my niche, with my tribe, you know, and finding those people. I often, because I have a natural interest and aptitude for wellness, I find that people in the self-improvement area and industries and creatives and other entrepreneurs, yoga teachers, that seems to be, I think, one of the tribes that I seem to want to engage with more and more as time goes on. Work is also, administration things, online things, marketing, some of which I enjoy, some of which I really am new to and don't feel too comfortable with, but that's the learning that we're here to.
I know we were talking about vocal yoga before. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
That's right. Yeah. So vocal yoga is it's a body of work that a master instructor that I've trained with, Heather Lyle, has developed. She's out in Los Angeles, and over a number of years, I've worked with different methodologies, and I've noticed there was a very specific focus on the voice and vocal science, which is necessary as a voice coach. But I also found that often the rest of the body and person wasn't as looked at, not to the degree that I wanted to be working with my students. So I found vocal yoga and Heather Lyle. I put that question out there, like, where's, that teacher that I can learn from? And so vocal yoga basically uses different postures, breath work, and yoga, specifically yoga postures, to help facilitate deeper breath, deeper nervous system, relaxation in the nervous system, essentially, so that people can have more power with their voice. And I find it works very well alongside with the vocal science that I have learned before and during working with this teacher.
It blends the two together.
It blends the two so well together. Yeah, it really does.
Awesome. I actually would love to have you come up to Whistler and do a course on that. I think that would
I would love to. Yes.
We'll be putting together retreats on that eventually in the next.
Exactly.
Year.
So within the next year, So several times a year, I usually will put on a workshop, and I was calling it Voice Works. I might end up changing the name, but that essentially is a workshop where I engage with a variety of different people, and I offer them all the tools and techniques for them to start getting more in their body and how to use their voice. And I help them develop their own vocal wellness practice. Some people are dealing with, they need vocal rehab. Some people want to just fine tune. Some people really want to know, how do I move? How do I sing without breaking in the break points? Often we have people singing and they can't sing smoothly through their range when they're going up higher. That's very, very typical for most of us. Those are transition points. And I really look at the voice and how it moves, just like how we in our life move. There's transition points in our life too. And so whatever your voice ends up doing at that time tells a lot, not just about your voice, but about us. Do we struggle through it? Do we pull things? Do we just drop? It's very fascinating. So I would love to do a workshop up in Squamish and Whistler, and
well, let's work on that.
Yeah, exactly.
I have two retrievers behind me that are the landlords. I have a wolfhound and a Hartley here. So if you hear the dog in the background, my apologies.
No problem.
The wolfhound weighs more than you do, so it's always whenever she moves.
Wow. It'd be fun to hear her voice.
Well, both of them are actually quite vocal, and Harley does like to sing. Harley, can you sing?
Oh,
He's looking at me like I'm crazy. But when he wants something, he kind of sings. It's quite beautiful.
Nice.
Is there something that you want others to help you achieve or that you need support with? Like maybe
Right.
an album or something.
Right. I love that. Oh, I forgot to mention what I like to play, what my play is. But yeah.
We'll go back to that. We're not in a rush.
No worries. Yeah. Well, what would I like help achieving? I find that one of the things that I've been wanting to have done is photography on location is what I'm trying to say. So I'm looking for a photographer, videographer to help me film and take photos of my live performances as me as an artist, but also for my voice workshops when I'm working with my students and clients as a voice coach, someone who, ideally someone who knows the industry or is interested in the music realm and also the yoga aspect of things. And it would be great to be able to collaborate with someone like that. That just would really help me with my representation online. And that's one of my focuses for this year is my online presentation and really getting the message out and connect with more people.
I mean, this year video and images are going to be so important for marketing. So
for sure, exactly. So yeah, and
let's go back up a question. What is play? Like really,
sure.
What brings you complete joy and passion and makes you feel like, I did it?
I know, right? Yeah, exactly. Well, of course, music does. I love music jamming. I love karaoke. I love I love bike riding. Oh, there we go. Yeah, you did tell me. You did tell me it was rose gold. That is just gorgeous. Great. Oh my gosh. Well, and other things I like to do aside from music and singing and karaoke with friends is on a nice warm, spring or summer day, I love to bike ride, like just bike ride casually on my cruiser. I enjoy free dancing. There's something on Friday nights in Kitsilano called Just Dance, and I've done that a few times, and that is real fun.
What is it?
It's definitely free dance. You go there. There's it's at the community. Is it Polish community hall there? And there's DJs, and you can just dance. And it's open to kids as well as adults. And it's really
more fun to dance with kids than adults.
Yeah.
Is that because I'm a grandma? I just that's where I'm headed in life. It's small children. It's way more fun. No
I know, it really can be. They help people get out of their heads and into their bodies. It's a sober event, so people can really just tune into their bodies and just have fun and just, it can be just fun, or it can be therapeutic. It can be whatever people wants it to be. I also enjoy travel, whether it's short trips or bigger trips. I do love to get out and into different environments for a time being. And I always find I come back quite different, and integrating that new information and often feeling really grateful for where I live too, even though it is such a rainy city.
Nice to know you can get away when you want to, at least.
That too, yeah.
If you could pick one book that everyone else should have or read, what would that be?
I love that question. I read a lot, and I'm not the type of reader. I try to be the type of reader that would read one book at a time and just straight through. I'm the kind of person that has about 8 books by my bed, and depending on my mood, I will read different ones, and so I do go in and read through the books. But the one I'm reading right now that I'm really enjoying, that I recommend people read, is called The Code of the Extraordinary Mind by Vishen Likiani.
Oh, that's so funny, because guess what? I'm reading his partner's book.
Oh, awesome. Oh, Ajit. Awesome. Very good.
21 Day Challenge of Live Big.
That's right. Okay, and so that's the one you were mentioning yesterday. That's right. Excellent. I didn't tie in the title with Ajit, so that's great. Yeah, they're doing excellent work. I love this book because not only does it debunk many of the modern day structures that we have in place and that we feel we have to follow, but it also provides a lot of insightful well-researched tools and practices that we can implement that will help with our day-to-day life to make real change. So I'm quite enjoying it. You know, Vishen tends to look at the big picture and really likes to take different concepts and go deep into them and find, you know, their, I guess, the validity in them and then implement them. So yeah, it's been great. I did want to offer another book, because there's quite a few others. In terms of a health game changer, The Medical Medium has been a book for 2018, this past year, that has been, like I said, a game changer for me and my health. The author is Anthony William. People can find him online easily. His first book's called Medical Medium, and he's got several different health books out there. I've really benefited from his work. It's highly intuitive, and he's just getting so many excellent there's just so many people reporting excellent feedback from his.
If you could only share one thing from that, like as far as health, if there was one thing that that you think everyone could benefit from?
If there was one thing that they would do, it would be juicing celery, straight thing in the morning, about 2 cups, or work your way up to it. Don't mix it with anything else.
Oh, really?
And see the changes it makes in your life. I have struggled with a few different health problems over the last several years, and it was getting debilitating over the last end of 2017 and part of 2018. I started his protocol in April of last year, 2018, and it's definitely changed a lot in me, and I'm looking forward to even more change. So one of the biggest things was I was suffering from a lot of insomnia, which never was the case, but it was becoming becoming extreme, that and energy. And so I knew I was being called to change something in my diet. So
how much celery is 2 cups of celery when you go to juice it?
I know.
I'm about to move to a bigger house and live totally on my own, so I can leave the juicer out. I can leave out my new Ninja blender. I can leave my crock pot out. I'm so excited.
Exactly.
I'm on this.
Good. Yeah, exactly. Well, that was actually my first question too, and it's 2 cups.
But how much, is that 1 stalk?
Oh, which is 1 stalk. Yeah. 1 stalk.
Like 1 full bunch?
Yeah, exactly.
About 2 cups.
And on average, they're like this tall.
So I should buy 5 bunches of broccoli for the week, basically. 5 or 6.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be coming down to the city to do that because it's about $5 a day here. Apparently transporting vegetables is extremely expensive to us there. So.
That's the thing. I know. And, he does recommend organic. If people can't do organic, then just wash them really well. I have to say it has been a commitment, but I think for some reason I was just really at the end of my rope with things. And I was ready for the change. So the commitment hasn't been difficult. It came smoothly for me. And I know that where I'm putting money into celery, I'm not putting money into other things, that I was doing. I was having more coffee, and I'm not really a coffee drinker, but yeah. So my adrenals are thanking me.
Yeah, I've just cut out sugar and cream from my coffee, which the result is I'm getting fussier about my coffee, which makes me drink less coffee, which is really kind of funny. So I think, and it is the adrenals and the pituitary that really coffee can be such a challenge for.
It can. I mean, coffee's tasty. There's a nice culture around it, but when people are relying on it, it doesn't do help for the nervous system. And that ties in again with our voice, because when we have a tense nervous system, it's pretty hard on our larynx and our breathing, our diaphragm. We don't become receptive. We close off. We want to be open to life, Yeah,
I find coffee, I love the culture of the coffee. I have the one thing I do is I go to, we have a co-working space here, 81 at the Summit Hotel. And my barista, Marco, I order 1 flat white, which is milk and all that, but just one a week. But it's the conversation we have. It's the experience of sitting in that space and the different people and the little strange conversations you have with either people from another country, another town, or but you're sitting there, you're talking over coffee. And for some reason, it's not that you couldn't do it over tea, but I don't know what kind of magic coffee brings, but for me, it's the culture of the coffee more than anything.
Right. Yeah.
And, yeah, it's cheaper.
That's nice.
It's cheaper than tea quite often.
That's quite amazing. I'm quite a tea drinker, a herbal tea drinker as well. So, but I do understand there is a difference. It's really funny.
I'm finding now that I'm making my own teas. So for example, I harvested a ton of chamomile last night in my dehydrator. I did ginger with apple and lemon. I put it all in the Ninja blender, ground it to nothing, and then flattened it out on the little dryer that I've got. And so now it's either edible or for tea. And I'm just finding that it just, the flavor is so much more than something that's come out of a box as well. So
that's excellent. That's actually an excellent segue into me announcing this year I'm going to be coming up right now. I'm playing with herbs and I'm going to be creating a voice tea. It's called Voice Choice Tea. And so it's something that I can be offering my students and clients, and hoping
that's
to get
amazing.
that out this year. Yeah.
Well, let me know if you need help with the packaging and stuff. That'll be so much fun.
Thank you. I would love that, because tea and herbs and wellness in general have been like a passion with me for decades. So it just comes hand in hand.
Well, I'm loving this space up here because in Whistler, we're surrounded by so much nature and natural remedies. And so last winter, I spent tons of time on, what's the word I'm looking for? Homesteader videos. And so I've learned all these different roots I can dig up. And I've really just picked one and gone deep. So I've harvested dandelion root, and I've got dried dandelion root. I've got,
awesome.
It's so much fun.
Oh yeah. I'm excited to come visit you.
Yeah. And I grew up actually harvesting chamomile, but I've never actually harvested a full grown chamomile with the flower, which is really interesting because where I grew up north, it never got that big. Whereas here, I found full-fledged flowers up, and it was like, oh, this is
they can get tall, hey?
Yeah, and then I also discovered that just the leaves are actually almost just as effective or more effective and have more flavor than the flower.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. I usually just have the flowers. So, see, that's the great thing about, that's wonderful.
But anyway, moving on. What is your favorite thing to do with friends?
Ooh, one of my favorite things to do with friends is short trips. I love going to different cities and places and exploring new experiences, like sound healing or live music events or new restaurants and cafes to enjoy a good meal. And again, anything beach related. I love water and the beach. So, when the weather's good, or if we go on a trip, stand-up paddling. I don't do it often, but I thoroughly enjoy it when I do go. Anything in water, just swimming in water, lying on the beach and snoozing, surfing. That's one of my favorite things to do with friends.
Have you been surfing on Long Beach at all? Like gone over to the other side of the island?
Yes. Yeah. And I'm originally from the island. So my first time surfing, I've only gone a few times. So, but it's funny enough, interestingly enough, it's one of my favorite things to do. It's just, I don't really do it often. So
well, it's one of my deepest fears is deep water, which is why I started kayaking and paddleboarding, but I don't know if I could surf because it's like that. You're more in the water.
Yes.
Paddleboarding, I'm still on the safe side of the board.
I know. Well, tell me about it. And it gets really busy during high season there. So as an amateur like myself, I've gotten up on the board a few times, but it does make it challenging because it gets really busy. And there's been times where, you could easily get knocked by another board. So yeah, I'm hoping my intention is to go and get lessons eventually and learn it in the tropical warm water.
I took stand-up paddleboarding lessons just out in Jericho. And I found that anytime you take a lesson with a water sport, you save energy. You learn how to store your energy properly. Because and because we are ocean people here, not in Whistler, but we're all close to the ocean and we're out playing on it all the time. That how you reserve your energy is a really key skill, especially with kayaking.
It really is, especially when you're dealing with the different tides. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a whole day. One of the classes, the kayaking classes I took, I think it was basically out of the full day most of that day was spent on learning about tides.
Yeah.
Because your
Wow.
life depends on it.
It really does. It really does.
What is a product you are rarely without?
Well, right now it's my Omega juicer. So I moved from the typical juicer. I can't remember what they're called. They're usually a bit faster. They're efficient, but they're not as fantastic as my Omega juicer, which is a slow masticating juicer. It juices any of the fruits or vegetables that you want slower, and it gets more of the essential nutrients from it, thereby saving you money, and it just, you get more.
Mm-hmm.
You get more bang for your buck, like they say.
Less waste.
Less waste. That's a big one too, and I do composting, but I've noticed since I've used this juicer, there's just less composting, which is great because having to go out every time to
I did worm, because I was able to do worm composting all summer. It was so much fun to have zero composting waste, because I basically don't cook meat at home either.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really doable with no smell under the sink. It was very well. You had to really do your research to make it work, but
right. Yeah. Oh, good for you. That's excellent. Any little thing that we can do and implement, I think helps,
Well, it was fun. It was me geeking out on, I geek out on the research and the science of it. And,
nice. Good stuff.
What do you do now that you hope you can keep doing for the next 10 to 20 years?
Well, I would, singing is obvious. Singing, writing music, that's a given, and that will be happening for sure. But also specifically continue doing yoga and meditation is a must for me. I just feel so good and just so much more grounded and happier regardless of what's happening in my life. Yeah. So, and I recommend people try it if they're not already, and to not put energy on feeling guilty when they don't do it. I do believe there's a time for everything. There's been times where I don't practice yoga and I'm jumping on the rebounder, or I'm just hiking more, or I'm just stagnant and need more sleep. But when you do go back to some sort of practice, I've just noticed it's so rejuvenating, So yeah, I hope I can keep doing that in 10 to 20 years. And
I'll keep doing it with you.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think my most fun moments in my life was actually jamming with a perfect stranger on Main Street in Whistler. We met on Facebook and met up, and he brought a guitar and I brought a guitar, and we traded for coffee and a music lesson. It was so much fun. And just
that's amazing.
Using your voice and singing and yeah.
So that's so awesome.
Playing and having a good time in 20 years together. It will be amazing.
Exactly. That would be really sweet. That will be.
Well, and we're going to start on the Monday night at the Sylvia Hotel. We're going to have our first Pitchmaster, and maybe we'll have to call it Pitchmasters and Jam Night. I don't know.
That's exciting. That's congratulations to to you with that. That's
we'll see what happens. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
And co-ed.
Yeah. Wow. Ladies meeting going co-ed. Well, not the Tuesday ladies meeting, but
no, we have had men asked to come, and it's like, no, sorry, you're not.
Yeah.
What is a life hack? This is our final question. Piece de resistance. What is a life hack that you would share with everybody that you feel that will help somebody else out?
Right. Yeah. Well, my life hack for this right now is breathing. And it sounds really obvious, but most of us don't do it deep enough. But there's studies that show that singers actually have lived longer lives than people that don't sing. And it's primarily because when they've looked at the research, when they've done the research and looked closer into things, it's because people that sing exercise their lungs continuously, regularly. And over time, as we age, the elasticity in our lungs hardens. And where there's hardening, breath and movement can't get in. So it ties in with singing. Definitely people use your voice. There's lots of fun little exercises that I'm going to be offering in my talk at the end of the month at ladies meeting that will engage people's voices and keep the strength here, the elasticity, and also help strengthen those little intercostal muscles that are the muscles in between our ribs. And that helps us receive more air, just receive more life. Moving
So
through
that explains Mick Jagger.
Pardon?
That explains Mick Jagger.
Yeah, big time. Oh my gosh, yeah.
A few other people, they were like, how are they still kicking around and looking so good and sounding so
I know, right?
And after having a really good party life.
Exactly. I know, it's quite the anomaly. It's surprising me, but that's one of the things. They're doing something they love, and they're exercising their voice, thereby their lungs.
I think we're doing something they love. I think that is, and to getting to passionately express that daily, because they don't, like Elton John. None of these people seem to be Elton John, Jim McJagger. They're not slowing down.
I know.
they don't slow down. They just either get stopped or keep going.
Yeah. They come up with the next tour, the next great idea. So.
Well, your talk at the ladies' meeting on the Tuesday, the last Tuesday of the month. What are we expecting to hear?
Yeah, well, that's going to be exciting for me and for everyone, I think, because it's a wonderful way to start the new year. I'm going to introduce myself, obviously, and what I do, give people an idea of my work as a voice coach. And if there's anyone in their life that they think would benefit, I can show them ways in which they can help with their voice. And I'm going to lead you girls or ladies into some vocal exercises, which are really fun and really easy to do. Quite often when I'm working with someone, it's definitely a one-to-one basis. Everyone's voice is very unique. However, when I do my workshops and group work, there are exercises that we can do that help the majority of people's voices. And so we're going to be doing that. So there'll be a little bit of sound at Sylvia Hotel. I hope they're fine with that. Nothing too crazy. Yeah, nothing too crazy.
You've made music there before, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly. They know I do. So nothing too crazy or loud, but definitely beneficial. And I'm going to be showing a lot of different ways in which people can start putting their voice into practice for 2019, how to claim their voice, how to claim their voice in a way that's going to feel real to them with tangible results. So, and that can mean different things to different people. I know some people in the group are singers or creatives. Some people are speakers or want to be speakers. Some people might not have any interest in any of that, but they just feel dull, or they feel like there's something that's been nagging them emotionally,
or there's something in the way.
Exactly, that they haven't been able to reach out. So there's ways to engage and connect, and I'm hoping to do that with you guys at the end of the month.
Well, I know you will for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Excited for it.
So if anyone would like to come out and see Asheida speak and meet the rest of our group, you can find us on theladiesmeeting.com, and you can click on live events. I think it's live-events. And you can also connect with either of us on LinkedIn, on Twitter, find all of our social media. If you look up the hashtag The Ladies Meeting, you will find us pretty easily. We've been going on for 2 years straight now. We're going into our 3rd year. I started this over 9 years ago, just over coffee, and it's turned into something amazing. Beautiful friendships, beautiful relationships. And we're always learning together too, which was so amazing. So thank you, Asheida. I'm going to turn off our recording. And
thank you so much, Anyssa, for the opportunity. You're doing great work.
And I'll see you in the next couple of weeks as well. Bye.
Okay.
Turning off the recording now.